Agatha Harkness was once just a minor Marvel character, an old witch that people went to if Doctor Strange wasn't available. But after WandaVision and that catchy theme song, Marvel decided to give her a spin-off, which means that her comic book counterpart needed a major upgrade as well. And boy oh boy did she get one. Gone is the old haggard crone, and now Harkness is young and hot like a fourth member of the Hex Girls. So how did we get here? Well, hello and welcome to Comic Drake, where I talk about comic books. My name is Drake. Let's talk about it. But unfortunately, problems in real life can't be solved by a magic wand. And as you might have heard, my fiance got into a car accident last year, and the lady that hit her didn't have insurance. Thankfully, she wasn't injured, but I know for a fact that getting a lawyer involved, if she was, would have been a long and annoying process. However, if you're injured and don't know where to start, then Morgan & Morgan makes it so easy. And the best part is that the fee is absolutely free unless you win. Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers either. And over the past few months, people involved in life-altering car crashes have received millions in compensation. There is a reason why they're the largest injury law firm in America, and they're ready to take on insurance companies no matter the size. So if you're ever injured and in an accident, you can always check out Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com. Once again, that's forthepeople.com. Thank you again, Morgan & Morgan, for sponsoring this video, but now, let's get back to it. Agatha Harkness first appeared in Fantastic Four number 94 in 1970 and was created by the iconic duo of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now obviously, Harkness's main character trait is being old, but we don't know just exactly how old. The closest I've been able to narrow it down to was she was around 5 centuries before Atlantis sank. But despite being extremely powerful, Harkness never obtained the title of Sorcerer Supreme throughout her lifetime, which is pretty lame in my opinion. I mean, sure, I get it, there was some stiff competition over the ages, like King Solomon and Merlin and Sir Isaac Newton, but over the centuries, witches have been hunted and persecuted, requiring them to group together in covens for safety. By the 1400s, Agatha had formed a coven called the Coven, and when they were under attack by a vicious mob, they summoned a demon named Valtor to save them. But here's the problem. So the demon took their weakest sister as a sacrifice and intended to not just kill the angry mob, but every non-magic user on Earth. And not being able to bear losing a loved one and, you know, having the blood of millions on her hands, Agatha disrupted the ritual and cracked the mirror that served as a portal between Earth and the demon's realm. Burdened by her guilt, Harkness broke away from her coven and spent years fighting her way to Valtor's throne in hopes of saving her lost sister, but she was overpowered and forced to leave her behind. Wonder if that'll be relevant later. Fast forward a couple of centuries and Agatha had moved to Salem, Massachusetts and formed a new coven which was persecuted by their witch trials. You might have heard of them. So then they packed up and formed a secret magic town in the Rocky Mountains which they call Halloween Town, New Salem. It's here that Agatha gave birth to a son, but she eventually decided to leave town and join a covert group of women that played a key role in the American Revolution, personally training some of their operatives in the ways of witchcraft. As far as I can tell, this was the first time that Agatha had a teacher position, which is something that would go on to become a lifelong passion. Fast forward a few decades later, and Harkness was recruited to the US Army for World War II to fight magic Nazis, specifically this one named Hilda von Hate.
Our caps have actually got little pictures of skulls on them. Are we the baddies?
Now, I love the idea of Agatha being around for centuries and playing key roles in major historical events, but I absolutely hate how inconsistent her design has been. Look, I get it, only a massive nerd like me would read through every appearance of a character and scrutinize tiny details like this. But come on, Marvel, I've seen shapeshifters with more consistent faces. But anyway, after World War II, Agatha retired altogether and kinda just vibed in her spooky mansion. That is until she was approached by the Fantastic Four to babysit Franklin, the newborn son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. With the Fantastic Four being some of the most famous people on Earth with public identities, you would think that Harkness was hired to ensure that he'd be safe from all sorts of threats, especially of the magical variety. But no, nobody knew that Agatha was a witch, and it just became a running joke in the comic. The team would be like, she seems to be a witch, but that would be impossible. You know, despite the fact that 1, she clearly is, and 2, y'all know that magic is real. Your main antagonist is Dr. Doom, for crying out loud, one of the greatest sorcerers in the Marvel Universe. But I especially love that on her literal first day on the job, the Fantastic Four was attacked and subdued by bad guys, so here comes this little old woman who strolls up and says, "Surely you wouldn't threaten a frail old lady like myself," and then just proceeds to wreck their shit with magic and her little black cat, which can digivolve into a panther or this massive Hulk form. And just as another nerdy nitpick, this cat is is named Ebony, but when Agatha later appeared in an issue of Doctor Strange, Ebony the cat was white for some reason. Seems like a pretty easy thing to not mess up. Harkness stuck around as a part of the Fantastic Four supporting cast and really didn't do too much outside of keeping an eye on Franklin and doing the occasional act of looking into her crystal ball and communicating through the astral realm, just like the occasional witch thing. However, she started to make a lot more appearances by becoming the Scarlet Witch's teacher and molding her into a stupidly powerful character. I mean, after just one day of training, Wanda was able to pull a meteor out of space and use it like a Dragon Ball Z finishing move. But sadly, being associated with the Scarlet Witch put Agatha in a really weird position, because writer Steve Englehart was infamously obsessed with his brand new character, Mantis, and was hellbent on forcing her on the Vision, creating this god-awful love triangle. See, Mantis is what's known as the Celestial Madonna, and she was fated to give birth to the Messiah of the universe. But Kang the Conqueror knew all about the prophecy and had narrowed down the location of the Madonna to the Avengers Mansion. And because he was determined to become the Messiah's father, he attempted to hedge his bets by kidnapping every woman in the house, including Agatha, so he could impregnate them all at once. That is all kinds of fucked up, and I am really glad that Kang Dynasty got taken off the roadmap, because that storyline should definitely not get adapted. But not too long after, Agatha's son departed New Salem with his children, the Salem Seven, to hunt her down and have her killed for treason because she associated with non-magic folks. But even though they were defeated, Harkness still saw herself as a danger to Franklin's well-being, so she left the Fantastic Four and stuck around in New Salem. But because there wasn't too much for Harkness to do as a character now, this made her a prime candidate to get killed off. So Salem 7 come back to avenge their father and burned Harkness at the stake. And try to follow me here. So Agatha comes to Wanda as a spirit and teaches her pupil how to channel her magic from beyond the grave so that she can defeat Salem 7. But while she's powered up, Wanda had thought about wanting to be a mother and use this energy to get herself pregnant. Let me make that clear. Scarlet Witch used the essence of her dead teacher to get pregnant with magic babies. And believe it or not, that's like the most normal thing about these children. See, Wanda had her magic twins without much of an issue, but one day, Agatha shows up with zero explanation as to how she came back to life and reveals the bombshell that the children are not real, and they're actually fragments of the devil himself. As you can probably tell, this storyline was a big, complicated mess, and I broke it down in my dedicated award-winning video. But long story short, the devil's henchman steals the babies and turns them into his arms, which apparently makes him unbeatable, but then his boss comes and absorbs him. Without the demon babies, the devil wasn't complete, and thus, he was unable to be targeted by magic or anything. But as soon as he reformed, Agatha struck and defeated him. Now obviously, this was super tragic for Wanda, so Harkness just wiped her memories of the kids, and everyone agreed to never mention it again. I'm sure that won't come back to bite them in the ass later. But when Franklin Richards' powers were getting out of control, Agatha went back to the Fantastic Four to watch him once again. But these flare-ups were starting to threaten the entire planet, so Harkness helped send Franklin to the future, where he would master his abilities and then come back in time just a few seconds later as a fully grown man. And yeah, his mom, not happy about that. All of these childhood memories that were never going to happen just slipped through her fingers, and she told Agatha to never show her face around the team ever again, and she didn't. And because of that, Agatha Harkness really didn't do much of anything in the Marvel Comics. Like, she showed up for some brief appearances and small cameos every now and then, but that's it. But remember when I said that Agatha not having much to do makes her a prime candidate for being killed off? Yeah, the writers did it again. So when Wanda's teammate accidentally let it slip that she used to have a couple of kids, she sought out Dr. Doom, got a truly ludicrous amount of power, and became corrupted by it. She then proceeded to kill her former teacher for wiping her mind, and then went on an absolute rampage that killed several people and disbanded the Avengers. Cut to about a decade later, and Agatha is still very much dead, but Wanda had gotten better in the meantime and started taking her mental health a lot more seriously. So she buries the hatchet with her mentor's ghost, and the two of them basically become roommates. Agatha's just chilling and haunting Wanda's apartment and being super duper catty in the afterlife. Then the book evolves into a little adventure where the Scarlet Witch discovers that magic is broken and sets out to fix it, with Agatha chiming in every so often for quips and advice and the occasional energy channeling. I just hope that Wanda's practicing safe hex, you know, since she got pregnant last time. Stupid. At the end of the series, Wanda meets up with her dead mother's spirit, and with their powers combined, they fight a god of chaos, which somehow results in her coming back to life. Agatha, that is. Wanda's dead mom actually gave up her soul to power up the goddess of witchcraft. because comics. Also, yes, I know she looks younger here, but that's just the art style. Harkness goes right on back to being a wrinkly witch and gets hired to be a professor at Doctor Strange's new magic school in order to keep Nico Minoru and Zoe Laveau safe, as both of them are descendants from her original coven. This was also crucial because Zoe got a vision that she'd be the center of an impending apocalypse which involved the demon Voltor. Remember him? He's the guy from the beginning of the video. While the other teachers and Wolverine, since Marvel is determined to shove him into everything, go and handle the problem, Agatha teleports Zoe out of harm's way. But surprise, Voltor has been dead for years. The real culprit is the Coven sister that got sacrificed all those centuries ago, who had managed to kill and usurp her captor, and is now trying to get revenge on Harkness and all the descendants of her sisters for sentencing her to oblivion. By meditating with Nico and Zoe, Agatha was able to send a warning into the past in the form of the vision that kicked off this whole event in the first place, and by using a magic dagger, Harkness killed her former sister and took the demon's power for herself, becoming young and hot once again. Agatha Hotness. Let's be real, this de-aging was meant to bring her more in line with her MCU counterpart, because that's just how these things go. The other side effect is that instead of being a hero, Harkness is just now a straight-up villain, and she set her eyes on the Scarlet Witch because Wanda had recently fused with a big evil book called the Darkhold, and then she absorbed an evil elder god into her soul by binding him within the book's pages within her soul, because comics. Well, Agatha wasn't a fan of Wanda being the only thing that was holding back such a powerful evil, so they have a magic duel across multiple planes of reality in an attempt for Agatha to show her former pupil that she didn't have what it takes. But even though Wanda proved herself and they came out of the fight on friendly terms, it was all just a ruse. You see, before the fight broke out, Agatha had sent a little sliver of her essence into Wanda's soul, and she was kept too busy through the combat to notice it, allowing for Harkness to walk right on up to the Elder God and rip out his heart so she could use it to forge a new Darkhold. Though apparently there's more to this crafting recipe than the heart of a god. She needed chaos energy, and what better way to get that than Marvel's favorite overused storytelling technique, making heroes fight each other for completely arbitrary reasons so we can sell more books because hey, it's Spider-Man versus Wolverine. The infighting generated the necessary chaos energy, but then the Avengers disrupted the creation process as it was almost complete, leading to a massive explosion, and the day is saved. Right? Kind of. Harkness washes up on a nearby shore and is greeted by this little kid, but the kid is the Darkhold. Marvel's obsession with turning objects of power into people is getting seriously out of hand. First the Cosmic Cube, then the Infinity Stones, and now the Darkhold. What's next? Thor's hammer? Nope. They did that too. So now, Harkness is stuck babysitting this literal children's book until he ran away to Strange Academy, made friends, and then when Agatha tried to get him back, he poofed her away. That's all that we've seen of her, but Marvel is also making this alternate universe young adult series where she's frenemies with Wanda, which kind of tells me that for any new project going forward, Agatha Harkness is always going to be aged down and then made into one of the Scarlet Witch's contemporaries. Now look, I know that I have been complaining about a lot of Agatha's recent appearances, but honestly, I really like the idea that they're going for. Just like so many other Marvel characters, the Scarlet Witch doesn't have her own rogues gallery of interesting villains, but Agatha Harkness actually really works in this situation. The two of them have serious history, and villains with a personal connection to the hero are usually the more interesting ones to read about. I just really hope that, now the legwork of bringing Harkness onto the path of villainy is done, we can finally get some really good stories out of it, and I have a great feeling about it, because the Scarlet Witch comics that have been coming out have been very fantastic lately, and they have absolutely gorgeous art. But anyway, if you want to learn more about Marvel history, then I have a whole dedicated playlist to it, so consider giving that a click. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. It's not quite the fall yet, so it's still really hot here in Texas. I've been filming this for way too long. Like and subscribe. Bye.